Before we begin, if you enjoy stories that warm the heart, strengthen the mind, and help you see life with more hope, subscribe to the channel now. Every day we share stories that comfort you when the world outside seems too heavy. Now, let's begin. Every morning, at the same time, at the same bus stop, she was there. Sitting on the concrete bench, always with her bag on her lap, her feet together, her hands intertwined over the worn fabric of her navy blue skirt. And always crying. It was not loud crying. There were no sobs, no moans. It was a quiet, constant cry, almost polite, as if she had learned how to suffer without disturbing anyone. The bus stop was on a busy avenue, the kind where the sound of engines, horns, and hurried footsteps never truly faded. The smell of coffee from the corner bakery mixed with gasoline and dust. Pigeons walked between people, waiting for crumbs. The cold morning wind pushed dry leaves across the ground. And there, in the middle of all of it, that woman. No one knew her name. No one knew where she came from. No one knew where she was going. But everyone knew. She cried every day. Some people looked away. Others whispered. Some felt uncomfortable, as if her pain were a mistake in the scenery of that automatic morning routine. Poor thing. She must have lost someone. Or she has lost her mind. But no one asked. Miguel saw her every day on his way to work. He was 52, an electrician at a small company, carrying on his face the exhaustion of someone who had been surviving for a very long time. He woke up at 5:30, drank his coffee in silence, left the empty apartment, and walked to the bus stop, where he waited for the 6:10 bus. It was impossible not to notice her. On the first day, he thought it was coincidence. On the second chance. On the third, he realized. It was always the same clothes, the same posture, the same quiet crying. Her eyes never lifted. They stayed trapped somewhere invisible between the ground and her memories. Miguel began arriving a few minutes earlier, not out of curiosity, but because of a strange sense of responsibility. As if that woman's pain had somehow become connected to his. One morning, a thin, stubborn rain fell. People hid under umbrellas, protecting their bags, their phones, their urgency. She had no umbrella. Water ran through her brown hair, clumsily tied, soaking her blouse. And still, she sat there, crying. Miguel stood a few steps away, watching. A tight knot formed in his chest. That scene awakened something old inside him, memories of nights when he too had cried in silence, when no one knew. When the bus arrived, everyone stood up quickly. She was the last one. She entered without looking back. Miguel stayed frozen for a few seconds after the doors closed. The world moved on. But something inside him had stopped. In the days that followed, her silent presence began to occupy his thoughts. He found himself watching the clock, calculating the moment he would see her again. And every morning, there she was. He started noticing the details. The deep dark circles under her eyes. Her trembling hands. The way she sometimes pressed her lips together, trying to hold back the crying, and failing. Miguel carried his own emptiness. Since his wife passed away 3 years earlier, the apartment felt too large. The silence was heavy. The nights, endless. He survived, but he did not truly live. And somehow, that woman's suffering spoke to his. One morning, as the sun timidly pushed through the clouds, Miguel sat on the bench beside her. He said nothing. She said nothing. For a few seconds, there was only the sound of the city waking. And her crying. Miguel felt the urge to reach out. To say something simple, like, "Good morning." But he did not. He did not know how to cross that pain. When the bus arrived, they both got on and were swallowed by the crowd. Miguel went to work, but that day, for the first time in a long time, he could not concentrate. His mind kept returning to that concrete bench, that restrained crying, that silent mystery. Without knowing it, his life was about to be crossed by a story that would change everything. Miguel carried that image inside him the entire week. It was not only the woman's crying at the bus stop. It was the silence around her. It was the way she seemed to exist in a parallel world, where pain did not ask for permission to exist. At work, he connected wires and repaired panels, but his thoughts were far away. Old memories began to rise like disturbed dust. The hospital, the smell of alcohol, the sound of monitors, the cold of Helena's hand in his. Helena, his wife. He had never cried in front of anyone after she left. He learned to swallow everything. Just like that woman did. Perhaps that was why he recognized her. On Friday, he arrived even earlier at the bus stop. She was already there. This time, she was not crying. Her face was still, her eyes red, lost. She looked like someone who had cried all night and now had no tears left. Miguel sat beside her again. "Cold today," he murmured, more to break his own fear than to begin a conversation. She did not respond. But for the first time, she turned her face toward him. Her gaze was deep, tired, ancient. Then she returned her eyes to the ground. Miguel swallowed hard. He realized that her pain came from much further away than he had imagined. On the following Monday, she did not appear. Miguel grew restless. The concrete bench looked too empty. The bus arrived, left, and he went to work with a strange feeling in his chest, as if someone had missed a silent appointment with him. On Tuesday, nothing. On Wednesday, nothing. On Thursday, when Miguel was already beginning to accept that he might never see her again, she appeared. She looked different. Her clothes were clean but disheveled. Her hair, tied in a hurry. And her eyes looked even heavier. She sat on the bench and began to cry again. But now there was something new in that crying. Desperation. Miguel approached. Did something happen? She took a deep breath. Her first word came out almost like a whisper. Yes. He waited. "My son," she said. "He is in the hospital." Miguel felt the world stop. She covered her face with her hands. "They say that maybe he won't make it through this week." Miguel sat beside her, a crushing weight pressing on his chest. "I'm so sorry." She shook her head. "No one knows. I don't have anyone else." From that day on, Miguel met her every morning before work. Her name was Laura. Laura told her story little by little, as someone removing shards of glass from her own heart. Her son, Daniel, was 23 years old. He had suffered an accident months earlier and had been in a coma. She had left everything behind, job, home, city, to stay near the hospital. She slept in a cheap boarding house. The bus stop was the only place where she could breathe before entering that white room full of machines. "I don't know if I have the strength," Laura confessed. "Sometimes I think God has forgotten me." Miguel felt his own old pain mix with hers. He wanted to help, but he was afraid. Afraid of getting involved. Afraid of losing again. But life did not ask for permission. On a rainy morning, Laura did not appear. Miguel felt the premonition before he even knew. He did not go to work. He went to the hospital. He found Laura sitting on the floor of the corridor, hugging her knees. Daniel had passed away during the night. Laura did not cry. The crying was over. The emptiness had won. Miguel sat beside her and, for the first time since Helena died, cried in front of someone. There, on the cold floor, two strangers became family in the middle of the greatest pain someone can feel. The hospital corridor was far too silent for a Thursday morning. Most of the world was still asleep, but for Miguel and Laura, time had stopped during the night. Laura remained seated in the same spot, her back against the white wall, staring at the floor as if the floor were the only stable point in the universe. Miguel brought 2 cups of coffee from the machine down the hall. The bitter smell spread through the air. He handed one to her. Laura held it, but did not drink. "Thank you," she murmured, without looking up. Her body seemed smaller, as if the pain had shrunk everything inside her. Miguel sat beside her, his back against the wall. The cold of the tiles seeped through his clothes. Neither of them spoke. This silence was different, not the silence of the bus stop, not the silence of Miguel's empty apartment. It was the silence of something that had ended forever. After long minutes, Laura spoke. I always thought I was preparing myself for this moment. Preparing how? He asked. By crying every day. She gave a faint smile, as if the tears would teach me how to survive when he was gone. Miguel felt the knot in his chest tighten. And they didn't? Laura shook her head. No. She took a deep breath. But they taught me something else. What? That I'm still here. Miguel looked at her. She passed her hand over her face, wiping away invisible tears. I lost my son, but I did not die with him. Those words struck Miguel like a silent lightning bolt. He thought of Helena. He thought of all the days he had only survived since she left. He thought of how he had buried parts of himself with her. Laura closed her eyes for a few seconds. Last night, I held his hand and said, "You can rest now." She swallowed hard. I felt something inside me, as if a door had opened. Not to happiness, to acceptance. Miguel understood. Sometimes awakening does not come as light. It comes as a tired breath that finally stops fighting what cannot be changed. That morning, Miguel realized, pain was not the end of the story. It was the beginning of another way of existing. Daniel's funeral took place 2 days later. Miguel stayed there the entire time. Laura had no one. No close relatives. No friends. Only him. She remained standing, strong, but her eyes revealed a fragile strength, the kind that is born when everything collapses and you keep breathing anyway. At the end of the ceremony, when everyone had left, Laura remained seated, staring at the closed coffin. I don't know what to do now, she confessed. I have no home, no job, nothing. Miguel was silent for a few seconds. Then he said, "Stay with me." Laura raised her eyes. How? In my apartment. He took a deep breath. Not as an obligation. As a choice. We help each other. Laura hesitated. I don't want to be a burden. You are not. He replied firmly. I'm tired of living alone inside myself too. In that moment, they both made the hardest decision. To allow someone back into their lives. It was not romantic love. It was something deeper. Courage. Their life became made of small gestures. Coffee shared in silence. Short walks in the afternoon. Fixing things around the house. Shy laughter that appeared without asking permission. Laura began working at a small flower shop near the building. Miguel came home from work and found the house filled with the smell of warm food. They talked about Daniel. They talked about Helena. They talked about everything that hurt. And little by little, without realizing it, they began talking about the future. Laura returned to the bus stop, not to cry, but to catch the bus to work. And every time she passed the concrete bench, she felt something different. Gratitude. Months later, Miguel and Laura walked together down the same avenue where everything had begun. She stopped in front of the bench. This is where I learned how to keep living, she said. Miguel held her hand. And I learned not to close myself to life anymore. Laura smiled, calm. The pain still existed. But now it lived inside a heart that had hope. And that changed everything. Sometimes life places us on a cold bench, in the middle of the city, crying alone. But it also gives us encounters that teach us how to continue. If this story touched your heart, perhaps it can also touch the heart of someone you love. Share it. Leave a comment telling us what you felt. And subscribe to the channel, so we can continue walking together through stories that heal, embrace, and remind us that it is always possible to begin again.